So welcome to our second informational meeting regarding reopening St. Peter and Paul to in-person learning, as well as some distance learning for those families who choose to do so. The purpose of this meeting is to provide information regarding the procedures and policies specifically for in-person instruction. There will be some spots that we discuss distance learning, but it is primarily all for in-person 5-day-a-week instruction. In addition to attending this meeting, you will see and should read the reopening plan that is posted on the school homepage. All attendees will be muted throughout the meeting. Please submit questions through the chat box or send me an email or Mrs. Brierly an email. And then once all these meetings have been held, Mrs. Brierly and I will respond to all the questions that we receive and post a web video to the school website early next week. So traditionally, we always have everyone turn in their health forms, any new families turn in their new family paperwork, your tuition agreements and things like that. We always also do our handbook confirmation page. We are still in the process of updating our school handbook. So we will need that sign-off page for each individual family, as well as a COVID-19 liability form. We will be sending all this home in our August mailing, which will go out in the next couple of weeks. And we will also have them available in the main office as well as on the school website. We'll use 3 different ways to communicate with our families. Email, we do our principals post it's sent out through MailChimp. And I received a question last night saying, I don't get any MailChimp emails. That's how you get our emails. It's the service we use to send out those emails. We will use Remind when we need to alert anyone, and then we will also post everything on our school website as well. When it comes to screenings at St. Peter and Paul, based on the guidelines from the Department of Health, we are asking families to do a temperature check to ensure their child's temperature is under 100.0 degrees. That is the number that we have from the Department of Health. And as well as to do a symptom check regarding nasal drainage, difficulty breathing, cough, chills, headache, loss of taste or smell, muscle pain or diarrhea, as well as making sure your child has not been in contact with anyone who has tested positive for COVID-19. Once your child gets to school, we will also screen them. We are checking everyone's temperature as they come through, 100.0 degrees, ensuring their temperature is under that, as well as some symptom checks. We have a meeting on Thursday, myself and then other people in the school with our school nurses that we currently have from Williamsville to go over some more of the questions related to pre-existing conditions and other different things. So I'm just putting that out there as we will probably even have more answers after that meeting next week, or on Thursday, I'm sorry. If students or anyone refuses to do these screenings, they will not be permitted to come into school for the day. So here are some of the symptoms of COVID-19 that most of us are probably already aware of. And then also the differences between COVID compared to cold and flu. The big thing to remember too, I will also be sending this home as well. This is a chart that gives, should your child go to school today, with yes and no's related to COVID-19 specifically. But it can be used with other situations with sickness as well. And we do know children are going to get sick from things that are not COVID. There are many symptoms of COVID that overlap with other things. We are completely aware of that. We know that sick children should be at home and given adequate time to rest and recover. Children that are out for a prolonged absence of 2 days or more can have the option to participate in virtual learning to help ensure the continuity of their learning if they are able to. Because some students may or may not feel up for it, but they will have that opportunity to help them stay with continuity of learning. It is important that parents and guardians follow the protocols related to the screening processes, and please do not send your child to school with a fever-reducing medicine or a cough or cold medicine, because once that medication wears off, symptoms will potentially show and then we have potential issues and exposure in the building. Violating these policies will not be tolerated. When it comes to screenings in school, any suspected cases and symptoms, we will be notifying the parent. The child will be brought to the isolation area, monitored by a staff in full PPE gear. That room is actually room 101A on the first floor. That room also has its own restroom as well. Everything in the room will be placed 6 feet apart, and we are asking families to pick up their child within the half hour, if at all possible, unless you live further than a half hours, as soon as you can get to the school, and then the child will be referred to their pediatrician. If there is a confirmed case of COVID in our school, Erie County Department of Health will be notified. We also will notify Niagara County Department of Health if the child lives in that county, because we do have students who reside in Niagara County. The Erie County Department of Health will follow their procedures regarding quarantines of a class or school. It all varies. It's all different situations. The school families and staff will be notified of a case in the building. The child's name will not be given. We will be just saying there is a case in our school. It will not be nothing necessarily more specific unless the Department of Health gives us the authority to say more. All direction will be given from the health department. A child may return to school with all of the following criteria: a note from their doctor releasing the student back to class, 2 negative COVID tests at least 24 hours apart, and symptom-free for 24 hours without the use of medication. If your child has had symptoms that are associated with COVID-19 but does not have a COVID-19 test or a doctor's note, then all the following conditions must be met. At least 24 hours have passed since recovery, symptom-free and no fever. The child has improved all symptoms without the use of medication. At least 10 days have passed since the first documented symptoms appeared. This is all based on the guidance we have been given from the Erie County Department of Health. St. Peter and Paul will completely participate and comply with regulations from the Department of Health of Erie County in regards to contact tracing. I have sent all of our documentation to the county so that they know who our COVID person is, which is me as the principal, and all of my contact information if there is a situation in our building. We will maintain records that accurately reflect who is present in the building and who is present in each individual classroom. Therapies for students who need them, for example, speech, OT, PT, will be permitted to work with the children, but they must go through the same screening as all of our staff members do. They will have to maintain a temperature of under 100.0. They will also be screened to make sure they don't have a cough, no shortness of breath, no new sore throats, no contact with someone who has tested positive for COVID-19 or traveled outside of this area in the last 14 days. We are not permitting visitors into the school building or into classrooms. Students have been placed in cohorts to minimize the contact with students, with each other, and other staff members. Middle school, we are using block scheduling, so the students are not changing classes nearly as many times, and limiting the use of lockers, as this middle schoolers will also use backpacks and to carry their books instead of using their lockers at all times, because that promotes congregation, and we do not want that at this point in time. When it comes to masks, as of right this moment, there is chance that this is going to change. We do not know. We have not been notified that it has changed as of right this moment. You must, anyone who enters the building, especially students, masks must be worn when entering and exiting the building, any time of transition, using the restrooms, and any time that a 6 feet social distancing cannot be ensured. The mask should cover the nose, mouth, and chin of all individuals. There should not be any gaps, but should allow for easy breathing in and out. Connect to the ears or behind the back of the head, And this mask is still required if a face shield is being used. So if a face shield is being used, you also still have to have a mask based on the Department of Health guidelines. We are not requiring a specific color on the mask. Right now, we know students may or may not be comfortable in their masks. Therefore, we are not going to make a uniform requirement saying they must be a gray, white, or navy blue. The masks do come in a variety of shapes, colors, and fit. We need to make sure everyone is selecting one that is most comfortable for your child and make sure the design is appropriate for school. We also will suggest the use of a lanyard to help keep the mask close by and ready for use. For when classes go outside, we will have Ziploc bags for the students to put their masks to keep them clean. Additionally, when it comes to masks, faculty will be in their mask at all times. We have ordered the ones with the opening so that students will be able to see the teachers' faces and their smiles, especially for our younger students. That might be a little bit more reassuring. If the state does tell us that we are required to be in masks at all times, even with 6 foot social distancing, we will be complying. If your child is more comfortable being in their mask at all times, we are thrilled by that. We are glad that people want to be in their masks more. Please communicate with that with your child as well as us, and we will enforce that with your children. We want everyone to be safe. That's our bottom line. Mrs. Briley, do you have anything else to add there before I keep going?
I think that was perfect.
Okay. So I decided to have a little bit of fun here with the how to wear a mask and how not to wear a mask. We definitely want to have all of the do's related to a mask by washing your hands before you touch the mask, inspecting to make sure there's no tears or holes. If your mask has the metal piece, making sure that is at the top and bending around your nose, covering your nose, chin, and mouth. Adjusting so there's no gaps on the side. Avoiding touching our face, especially the mask. Removing the mask from behind your ears or behind your head if it's a tie one. And then throwing the mask away if it's disposable and keeping it away from you. And then washing your hands afterwards. If you're using a cloth mask, please make sure that it's being washed at home. The one other piece related to masks that I forgot to mention, we are not allowing the gaiters or the bandanas, as research has been done saying that they are not effective in combating COVID-19. Therefore, they are not allowed. I know there's some students that are very disappointed in this, but it's to protect the health and safety of everyone. And if last night the question was asked of me, well, what is a gaiter mask? That is the mask that goes up the neck and up over your nose from your neck. Arrival for kindergarten through 8th grade students. This is what we have been advised by Department of Health to avoid having students with different cohorts and different things of the like, avoid mixed groupings. That is why we have a specific door for busing and a specific door for students being dropped off. Students that arrive by bus will be dropped off at the side door. They will get screened with their temperature before they enter the building. Students who are being dropped off will go through the glass doors. Based on the survey results that we did, we will use Sign Up Genius to assign the slots. They will start at 7:10 up until school starts at 7:45. A suggestion was made last night related to tardiness and absences, that we will most likely be waiving the tardies to start the year to make sure we get this into a smooth process for arrival so that students are not being marked tardy because of the delay with going through the screening process. We ask that everyone is extremely patient with us as this is new for all of us. We ask that parents remain in their vehicle in the parking lot to make sure their child does not have a fever and is symptom-free. We will screen them as soon as they come in off the buses as well as through that front door. When it comes to dismissal, this is our dream situation if this works. There could be changes because it may not work. We have spoken with the districts. This is what we are trying to do. We want us to be starting to load buses approximately 1:50 p.m. So announcements will probably start about 1:47. We will dismiss our bus students first. We will be dismissing from homerooms is where we are leaning towards right now, because especially the middle schoolers will have their backpacks and they should already be packed up fairly quickly. And then we will call buses down and try to load the buses. And the goal is to have all the buses out by 2 o'clock. If your child is going to attend after school through LE3, they will be dismissed to the cafeteria and will follow the LE3 protocols for arrival into the program. LE3 will be doing temperature screenings and things like that as they come down. LE3 has their own protocols in place, and you can register your child through the link on the website, as well as I will be sending out a link in the upcoming emails if you would like to register your child for after school programming. Students that are being picked up will be dismissed after the buses have left and students go down to after school. We are going to use Remind, and we'll be sending out a specific code for dismissal time. So it's not the one that we use for everything else with alerts, to notify us when you are in the parking lot. Once we receive the notification you are in the parking lot, we will call your children down and send them straight out to your car in the pickup line. In the ideal world, K-4 parents should be arriving at 2 p.m. and alerting us that they are here, because the buses should be out at that point. Students who are in grades 5 through 8, we ask them to arrive around 2:10, and then you message us in the your arrival within the app. After all of this is done, we will then, we are adapting the walker policy for this school year, as there are many families who do live in very close proximity to our school. So we want to and they do not want to use bus transportation. So we are going to allow walkers for those in middle school, and they will be the last to be dismissed, as we don't want the traffic going through the parking lot like crazy for them to be walking home. We will need a note on file that the parent is authorizing their child or children to walk home. The oldest child needs to be in at least middle school, and then if there's younger family members, we will discuss that with each individual family to make sure everything is safe for those families with the walkers. Related to arrival and dismissal. At no time during arrival or dismissal are parents allowed to park against the side of the school building. That is something we've had for years. We will be blocking off part of the front parking lot to give multiple options for classes to be outdoors between gym class and other classes, as we have talked about in our first faculty meeting on Monday that we had. If there is a change to the way your child is normally dismissed, you must send a written note to your child's teacher, or emailing the office staff is acceptable. We need to know that to ensure dismissal goes smoothly. This is not a change. That is something we have been doing for years. We do not want to have any additional people in the building during arrival or dismissal. We are trying to limit the number of people in the building to keep everyone as safe as possible. We ask that parents avoid buses that are pulling in out to drop off the students. We realize it's going to take longer, but we do appreciate your patience with this process. And there is a chance this could change. It may not work. We may have to figure out something else. Any student who arrives after 7:45 is considered tardy. We are going to waive this for the beginning of the school year, but once we have this set up officially and smoothly, it will be enforced. Students that require an early dismissal must have a written note that indicates the time and reason they are leaving early. We will not dismiss students without the written note or the email to the office. Parents and guardians will either be in the side, ideally we want it to be the side lot, and call the office. A staff member will meet the parent and guardian at the side door, and we will sign the student out prior to leaving, since we have the note saying where they will be going. We will not be allowing for early dismissals after 1:30, as we want to make sure we can have a smooth transition for dismissal, so that we do not have kids walking through the hallways at additional times and possible congregation. After school care, as I said, is going to be provided by LE3, and there's a link on our website to enroll. We chose to go with LE3 this year as they've been running their summer camps throughout the summer, and we are very confident in them with their ability to continue to keep our students safe, since they have been doing it and have all these policies set up front. When it comes to our classrooms, we have limited the number of students. If classes were of a larger size, they were split into 2 sections, and any classes that were under that 14 mark have been capped at that 14 mark. We are spacing the desks 6 feet apart. Teachers are just starting to come back into the building at this point in time. Desks, tables, chairs, and frequently used surfaces will be cleaned and sanitized throughout the day and when different cohorts of students are using the common room. It will be teachers, not students, disinfecting the surfaces. It will be teachers. We also have purchased an electromagnetic sprayer. It actually arrived yesterday. And next week we will be doing trial runs throughout the building. So we do have an electromagnetic sprayer, which we are super excited about. And we actually are hoping, because we have ordered 2, 1 is in, we are waiting for the second to be delivered. So we are very, very blessed that we have an electromagnetic sprayer to keep things safe for our students and our teachers and everyone else. Specials. We will be having our students participate in direct gym courses. We will be using the guidelines from the Department of Health related to distancing during gym classes. Ideally, whenever possible, gym classes will be outside. Mrs. Wagner has already been working on how the gym classes will look this year with all of the different requirements that we have. Art students we will still have art instruction. Mrs. McIntyre already is working on setting up packets for each student so that then they have their own individual one for any projects that they work on. And she will then be disinfecting anything prior to any student using anything that another student has previously used. She has already been working quite a bit on getting everything set up appropriately. For technology and music this year, we decided to, because of the fact with COVID, students really cannot sing safely at this point in time. So we are going to combine music and technology this year, and it's going to be more related to music concepts as well as appreciation. It's going to look drastically different than what it has in the past. If we are able to resume chorus or choir, we will do so when we can, as Mrs. Shepard already has volunteered to do both of those once we are able to. If your child does instrumental lessons with either Paul Effman Music or Mr. Butler for guitar or piano, they both have made the commitment to continue the lessons virtually at this time. I just received an email this morning from Mr. Effman's music company that they will be also doing them after school, so it is not taking place during the school day for those virtual lessons either. So then we don't have to worry about students bringing their different instruments into the building as well, as it would be very difficult and not necessarily the most safe with different instruments with the wind instruments specifically. As I receive more information from them, I will be forwarding that to all of the families in the school. Students in kindergarten through grade 4 will continue to have the library period with their homeroom teacher. They will be going to the library once a week. At this point in time, we are not allowing students to take books home, and we will notify everyone if and when this does change. Many classes will be eating in the classroom during this school year. Students will wash their hands before and after eating. If a sink is unavailable, hand sanitizer will be available. We have been going through the building and getting hand sanitizer posted in all the classrooms, and then we also have them as students enter the building. We have 3 classes who are eating in the cafeteria, and there will be no more than 25 students in the cafeteria to ensure appropriate social distancing, and it typically is greater than the 6 feet while they are eating. And students, as they enter and exit, they must wear their mask, and then they have to have their hands clean before eating and after eating to minimize the risk of spread. If we are required to stop in-person learning, K-2 will utilize either the Seesaw app or emails home to parents daily. We have also put our initial plans up on our website with bullets on how things will look. Grades 3 through 8 will use Google Classroom as a learning platform to give live instruction periods through Zoom, small group meetings, and different online resources. For example, our middle school will be completely synchronous during their normal school day. If we were to go into another stoppage of in-person learning. We have learned quite a bit from this past spring, and we are confident in our ability to provide outstanding remote instruction. We do have families that are planning to use distance learning for the first trimester. We have ordered headsets to cancel out background noise in the classrooms for when those students will be Zooming in synchronously live for our classes. We will not be doing special synchronous if we are still in-person learning, and they will still do a choice board. And those special teachers will communicate directly with those individual students, because gym class, for example, would be very, very difficult to try to be live. We are working to be able to have an option for daycare on site if a shutdown were to occur. Since we are not currently in a shutdown, there is no available guidance at this time. We cannot guarantee this will happen, but it is something that we will be working to do if we are required to have a shutdown. Before I keep going, I would like to make sure I thank some specific individuals. We had quite a few teachers give up lots of time this summer, especially Mrs. Brierly for our transition team. And those members of our transition team were Mrs. Brierly, Mrs. Nigro, Mrs. Ganshow, Mrs. Grafassi, Mrs. Hill, Miss Vasile, Miss Katie McIntyre, and then we asked all of our faculty for feedback throughout as well. And additionally, we also would like to thank our 8th grade student representatives of Shelby, Ruby, Charlotte, and Ronnie, as they were truly insightful during this process with us, because they really took it seriously in terms of thinking about what it was going to be like for them as middle school students, but also thinking about those younger students, how this would be for them. And there were some things that group came up with that we did not even think of, and we were very, very grateful for that. One quote that definitely has resonated with me during this summer and during this shutdown is from St. John the Baptist de La Salle. Remembering that God is with you, will help you, and inspire you in all that you do. And as you see, we have quite a bit of resources that we have used throughout this whole process. I am going to stop sharing at the moment. I may not necessarily answer all of the questions that are in the chat at this time. And I'm looking at some of these questions. For the kindergarten families, this is something I forgot to mention yesterday, and I plan to send an email specifically to kindergarten families by the end of this week. We will be doing drop-in appointments set up for our kindergarten orientation. It's not going to be how it has been traditionally in the past. So we are going to have every family sign up for a spot for them to bring their materials, as well as meeting their teacher, going through the screening process so that they know what this is like. We are still, we will probably relate it to the drop-off piece. We will most likely be setting it up with being based on your schedule. So probably we will say Monday through Friday for the initial one. But if people have, because I know some people have work schedules that change, and that's part of the reason why. And we're going to try to be as accommodating as we possibly can with everyone's work schedules. It is not nearly as simple as we all wish it was with this whole process. I think Mrs. Brierly can attest to that through all of this.
A team effort.
Yes, absolutely. We actually have, so I see allergies to alcohol and hand sanitizer. Yes, there will be sinks available, and we also do have non-alcohol based hand sanitizer in the building as well. So we will have both of those different hand sanitizers for that question related to the alcohol and hand sanitizer. The school supplies through Stapler are supposed to be delivered next week. We will be sending out an email once they are in. Middle school orientation, we are working on all the little details related to it. The teachers, we met about it, and we're planning to do quite a bit in homeroom this year related to middle school orientation, but we might be able to do something. I will go back to figure out if we can do a supply drop off instead. Thank you for that question. And if I did not address any of these, which I think I have, but I am not fully positive I got everything.
I think you got them all. I'm looking.
All masks need to make sure they are appropriate for our Catholic school. And if a mask is not deemed appropriate, we will give a child a mask to use for the day and send it home saying this is not appropriate to be worn in Catholic school. So I don't picture anything related to viewpoints to be on an elementary or middle schooler's mask, but we will be making sure everything is appropriate. And if it's not, we have masks on site for children to have. Also, if, for example, a mask breaks, we will have all these things. We will have them on site to have someone change, and then we will contact home if it's not appropriate. So I also wanted to also thank our school board, and thank you, Rose. Rose Cabral is also on the call from our school board, as they have done many hours with us this summer and also helping us with our reopening plan. I thank each and every single one of you for the opportunity to educate your children. We love all of your children, and if we have not had your children yet, we cannot wait to get to know them for any of our new families. And we look forward to seeing each and every one of you, if it's either virtually in the classroom or in person. And I did send out about an hour and a half ago the sign up for if a family does want to take advantage of the distance learning for the entire first trimester. That form is due back. The form is all digital and it's due back to school to us within the week by next Wednesday by 12 o'clock. So we can have our teachers appropriately plan their lessons based on how many students they will have typically in the classroom in person, as well as then activities and things so that they can also engage those students who are in distance learning. Because the distance learning during in-person instruction is meant to be synchronous at the same time during our school day. But I want to thank each and every one of you, and I hope all of you have a very blessed day. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Another one down.
Let me stop recording.